Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kansas City Southern Union Pacific N scale layout. Happy New Year. Hopefully this virus will get out of our lives so we can move on. This is a new phone that I'm filming with. My old phone got taken away from me out of my shopping cart last Saturday. Can you believe that? But anyhow, we'll see how well it does. Anyhow, I've been wanting to do a video series on my yard, and I sent some structures to Vinny, and hopefully he'll get to those next month. But I had another new subscriber today, told me how wonderful my yard looked and asked me a bunch of questions and want to know if I can do a video on it because he wants to start building his yard next week. So here we go. So here's the yard. I had to move some trains out of there so you guys can see everything. I'll give you a little look this way. We'll move the tape measure in a minute. But of course, the number one question is, how long is your yard? And that is the reason of the tape measure. So let's take a little small helicopter ride, go kind of slow. I know a lot of people don't like it when I go fast, but I can only go so slow. But anyways, the two number questions that I always get asked is, how long is your yard and how many tracks? Okay, well, this yard is 14 feet long, if you can see that, 14 feet, which is a pretty good size in N scale. My last yard that I built on my last layout was West Colton Yard, and it was 22 feet long. But this is not bad. So 14 feet long. I have 9 tracks. I was going to try to get 10 in here, but it was just too much. So I took the 10th one out and spaced everything. Some of these tracks, if you look, are not perfectly straight, and I did that on purpose because if you ever look in a yard, especially on a model, the tracks are not straight. So it was a lot more work to get them a little crooked than it was straight. Some of them were perfectly straight, but some of them are not. So anyways, there's 9 tracks. Here's track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's how many. I haven't really loaded it up all yet, switch to switch, to see how many freight cars I can get in here, but I think I'm going to try to do that. That'll be a part 2 or 3 or 4. But on the east end of the yard, they all curve into the main over here. And if you go back here behind the office, that's where the main tracks are. And there's Palco Junction, which in real life, you're probably looking at about, I don't know, 50 miles before you get to the yard from Palco Junction. But we all know we can't do that. There's a fake signal. And it's real, but it's just not wired. So anyhow, on the east end, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ground throw switches. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 curve switches. If a lot of you have been with me for a while, you notice I have a lot of curve switches on my layout. Let me tell you, they are a lifesaver and a room saver, especially if you do a yard. There's one right there. So they work great. If you ever see my videos on the ethanol plant, you know that I have 3 curve switches as crossovers at my ethanol yard. First time I've ever done that, but it's worked fine. I never had any derailments. So let's go down here and look at the west end of the yard. This is where there'll be a lot of more buildings. There's a tower right there. I'll have another tower at the other yard, at the other end of the yard, and get rid of that tape measure. Right here is where the locomotive sheds were going to go, and there's 6 tracks for those. 2, 4, 6. Vinny has them right now. He's redoing them for me. So those will go there. And then there's 1 track here for fuel and sand. And the fuel and sand stuff will go right in here. So, and then this side of the yard comes off the main right here through the set of crossovers. The layout is double tracked all the way around, and it comes into the yard right through here. Now that's a tortoise switch off the main, and then everything goes to ground throw. And then over here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 13 ground throws right here. I'm not a favor of the ground throws just because of the size. I wish they made some Z-scale ground throws. But from a distance, they look pretty good. But when you get up close, they're just too big. So, anyhow. So 14 feet long, 9 tracks. That's probably, I didn't think about looking or measuring the width for you guys. So let me see what it is. The width for the 9 tracks is 11 inches. So I could have fit another one in there, but it was going to be too tight and it was going to be right on the edge. And people are already putting their elbows up here when they want to reach back there. So I'm going to have to put a little piece of plexiglass, probably, I don't know, 2 inches tall, maybe at the most, when all's said and done, when I do my fascia. But anyhow, that's a start. This guy wants to get going on his yard. He's going to start laying next week. So I told him I'd do a quick video tonight just to give an overall. But there's a main entrance right through here. And then all the switches come off of there and then come off of that side. And then this side is all for the locomotives. This track right here that you see with the yellow bumper is my programming track. So I have that set right next to my system right here. So, and it's isolated. I don't know if you guys, can you see that right there? It's isolated from the whole system. So I do all my decoder programming right here and then I send it out. So the locomotives, and I'll do a video on it, will come out of there depending on which way the train has to go. And they'll come out on this track right here. And then they'll either back in here and go up here if they're going west, or they'll use this track here on the bottom. I try not to park a train on that track. And they'll come out to that side and then back into their train, depending on what track it is. My grain train and my long double stack auto rack train, I've been parked there for a couple months now because I'm doing some serious track maintenance. I'm painting my rails and I'm putting in the rest of my tortoises. So right now my trains are parked. I'm putting new couplers on my locomotives. I'm putting new wheels on stuff. So it's winter time here in Reading. So a lot of that stuff I do inside. So that's why when you see these videos, this grain train and auto train, they haven't moved. They're going to move pretty soon because I'm going to have to clean those tracks. But all right. We'll do part 2 as soon as Vinny sends me these sheds and I get some more buildings and probably put a flag there and get the sand and fuel rack things going. And not going to do too much more over on the other end. I'm going to put some more grass and stuff in the ballast. And here's the other yard tower. So it goes right about there. And there's my walkover bridge, and then here's the office and the parking. So, all right, you guys. Until then, and until Vinny mails me my new and improved locomotive sheds, we'll talk to you later. Keep training. Out.